stolen. We called forth the feeding on the wealth of the nations. We called forth the seeds that were sown and we should reap from them. We called forth the blessings. We called forth gain. We called forth the increase. We called forth that our needs were supplied. We called forth that we would owe no man. We called forth all of these things, and then it began to manifest. And we did it all for our sister, which we were all receiving too. So she heard something that week. So that is a praise report that God's like, let me just show you how well we work. And you guys remember with Emanuela, her dad she hadn't talked to for 13 years, and we prayed, and the next day her father called her out of the blue in Jerusalem, and she went there and visited him. Had never, I mean, she didn't have to try to text him, call him. He called her after we prayed, and she went to visit him after 13 years of not seeing him. So when God just wants to, like, and sometimes he'll spoon feed us. And, you know, when you first get saved, too, it seems like every little prayer you pray, and, you know, people come, you're giving you those Holy Ghost handshakes, and there's money in your pocket, and all that good stuff, and you're like, oh, my goodness. That is when the Spirit of God is just, sometimes he's just wooing you, and he's letting you know he's real, he's building your confidence. But like any class that you go to, your teacher has to give you a test, so you get the test where he doesn't maybe answer right away, and then people are like, wait, God, where are you? He's right there. He's just teaching you how to walk. He's teaching you know, you're growing. Yeah, so when, you know, babies, right, has kids here, when they first learn how to walk, you know, you stand right here, because at first they learn how to stand, but they just wobble a little bit until they get their little thing together, and then you step back, and you're like, okay, you're a few, they can take 1 or 2 steps, you, come on, and you start cheering and cheering and cheering. Even when they fall, we still cheer for them. It's a lot of times we're a little bit harder on ourselves. Like, you're not where you used to be. You gotta continue to cheer for them. They're falling, but now they're trying to walk where they didn't have faith, you know. So now they got faith, and then next thing you know, and they're clapping for themselves, and they want everybody else to clap, and you know. And so the whole point of that is that there's growth. Then from walking, they began to run, you know. And so that's where we are spiritually. Somehow we're all at different levels. We're all at different places spiritually. And the crazy thing about it is sometimes you can go from one level and you have to relearn something. You know, how many I've known people got in an accident, they had to go back to rehabilitation, had to learn how to move their limbs all over again. You know, and yes, sometimes we have to go back to learning some things because you went through such a storm and you got knocked down. You have to rebuild up your faith. You start wondering, I mean, Jesus is sitting there saying, Father, why have you forsaken me? Now, he knows God would never leave him, but the fact that he felt like that, you know, so it tells you may feel like that. Just like I may feel like, oh my goodness, I feel absolutely alone. Jesus felt absolutely alone. Some places you go, everybody can't go with you, depending on your calling.
Amen.
So when Jesus, he's here, and you got the people, just like Peter, I will never deny you. Let it get heavy enough in your life, and you'll find you are there by yourself. But he doesn't have time to go back and the people that deny you, you don't have time to, he didn't have time to go back and deal with that. Do you know once he rose, he never even appeared to all the curious onlookers. He only went and appeared to those who were his. He didn't spend time with the other ones. He didn't go back and just minister to everybody and anybody. He only went to those which he was called to and those which were his. Amen. After that, everything changed once the death occurs. And there's a truth right now that the fact that there is a death that's taking place, okay? So you guys got this, right? Is that on?
This one's on YouTube's on.
YouTube? Okay, so you may missed the whole scenario then? We didn't get that at all? Okay. All right. So everybody asked for that, so I'm gonna see if I can get a little bit closer and maybe they can see some of it.
Yeah. Move that way some.
And I don't know, I may have to go back over that at home or something. And then the other one's for the, if you use the little clips too. But I'm gonna erase this because we're gonna go, but so on this, did you guys have any questions? Did you guys practice this at home? So,
I did.
How bad do you want the breakthrough?
I did and I do.
See now, yeah.
I typed all of that out.
I know you did. You're such a scholar.
I typed it all out.
Head chocolate.
And in the covenant phrases I use, and then I even add, you know, my own thing that I choose to believe your word because you're a God that cannot lie.
Yes.
You know, so I choose to believe your word, and you said in your word, and then I
and this is where you say what he said. So the purpose of us making the list is, like, sometimes we say we're believing for faith, and I can ask people, I said something, I'll go be like, okay, how many scriptures are you holding to? If they gotta go like this and go get their notes and to figure it out, it's not in you quite yet.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're not standing firmly enough. Like, you know, the Copelands always talk about how they stood, and Kenneth Hagin, like when they stood on faith scriptures, that was all they did. That's all they read. That's all they focused on until they had the breakthrough. So in that, if she needed financial restoration, these would be the things she would be holding to. If I was needed healing in my body, if we needed healing, we would go through all that. In fact, I had a function right there to do one for healing. You guys want to do one for healing?
Yeah.
We did it all together for. Okay, grab your Bibles. Let me grab my Bible. You gonna bring a Bible?
I'm gonna start over.
There's 10 million in the back.
I'm gonna start over to.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna go. Just put it in here. Everybody say hello. Everybody